Good morning and welcome once again to our business community support discussion that we're now doing here on Facebook on the downtown Main Street, Fort Dodge Facebook page. So welcome and thanks for joining us. So much to talk about each and every week, and that's why we do this brand new each and every week as we discuss some of the things that are going on throughout our community and give some information and best practices to business owners throughout the community to help assist in just getting that information out there, because there's just so much changing day to day. And so we want to make sure that our business owners in our community have everything that they need to make this as a successful transition as possible into what might be the new normal. Joining us every single week in our discussions, we have the Regional Director of North Central Iowa's SBDC, a wealth of information, Kimberly Tiefenthaler. So welcome and good morning, Kimberly. Also with us is Chris Patrick, the Executive Director of Main Street Fort Dodge. And we also have Cheryl O'Hearn with Spin Plus Digital joining us and sharing just a ton of information about all the things that we have going on throughout our community as well. So welcome to you all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
A lot of changes going on as we see each and every week. And so let's sort of dive into what some of these changes are. Because there's kind of a lot going on right now. So one of the first things we want to talk about is some of the things that are going on at the Capitol. And Cheryl, you've sort of put some of this slideshow together for us. So walk us through some of the things that we're seeing here on this slide.
Well, yeah, this is a slide that Goldman Sachs has prepared because next week, next Wednesday and Thursday, we are having what's called the largest virtual program, our virtual program in the world, I guess, or United States, with the Capitol and our senators and our House of Representatives. So they have put together a complete program that day where we will be speaking with the senators and the representatives. This is one of the things that they're talking about. And of course, now that the bill was signed last night or yesterday in the Senate and going to Trump, they're going to want us to be talking to the senators and the representatives about how this is going to help and impact and what other things have happened. They just want us to give updates. So I will be talking for the state of Iowa, and I don't know exactly what they want me to say yet. We're still going through our training program as to what they want us to say. But this is some of the things that they've pulled up and showed that the percentage of Paycheck Protection Program, the PPPs, that number of loans that were given and the dollars that went out and how it's strengthened the financial situation for some of these businesses and hopefully kept them open, which we're seeing. I mean, you're not going to have 100% success, but it sure has had a huge impact. Now, on my end, I know a lot of businesses are very happy with the extension, and I know Kimberly's going to talk more about this here in a moment, about the extension on this and what that means to them and getting this as a forgiven going forward. That's going to be huge for them because many of the companies I work with, they were coming up within the next week or two that their 8 weeks were up. And so that was kind of concerning to them because some of them had not been open for the entire 8 weeks. So there was some shuffling going on if they had to make all the financial requirements. So this is going to make a huge impact for them. So yeah, this is going to be really exciting. I'm speaking next Thursday. I don't even know what time yet or how many times I'm speaking. I'm still waiting for all that. And as you know, when you have legislature in the mix, things can change at any time with a schedule. So this is, they've really told us to block off the entire day and sit and wait till you get the message that you're on deck and you're going to be talking.
One of the key pieces of this that I think is so important is that You can see that the PPP has been quite effective for business owners just through some of the stats that you see here. But that 44% number on there of business owners who say, you know what, we're gonna need another piece of help, or we're gonna be finding ourselves in trouble moving forward. That just goes to show that we're simply not through this yet.
And that's very, very true. And I'm thinking that that's probably going to be more of our focus for next Thursday, thanking them for what they've done, but also saying, you guys don't think that this is done. We probably are going to need some additional assistance out there. So, and again, I'm sure Kimberly can talk to that a little bit more as to what the future may hold in that direction.
Yeah, and we're going to be coming back to that in just a second. But before we get there, I do want to talk quickly about some of the downtown businesses and what is going on downtown right now. Is there's some opportunity being taken to make some improvements going on downtown. And Chris, can you take a minute and just walk us through some of these some of the things that are being done downtown, maybe while we have a little bit less traffic in our storefronts?
Oh, absolutely. So the picture on the left hand of the screen on the upper part, where you're seeing that MDO board and those really nice black trimmed windows, that is at 29 North 12th Street. That is really owned by Anna and Demetrius Gully. Great little strip of businesses there, and they are doing a full facade rehabilitation on the front of that. And that is no grant funding is being used for that. That is all on their own. They do have to go through the design review process through Main Street and the city of Fort Dodge, which they've done, and they've been very generous with changing their design a bit just to make sure that it is meeting some of our code. And hopefully we'll see some brickwork on the front of that. Angela's Beauty and Hair Supply is in that strip. And also we have the Fade Barbershop in there too. So great little strip, and we'll see what else she's going to be bringing there. And then if you look over on the right side, you're going to see 728 First Avenue North. And this is the building that Spin Market had been in, and they are doing a facade project with windows. They are going through the Development Corporation of Fort Dodge and the city to help with some funding pieces on that. So we have about 6 to 8 business owners that are taking advantage of just the good weather and this slight downturn so they can get some of those outdoor projects done on their buildings. On the bottom of the screen, you're going to see 1100 Central Avenue. It is one of 11 buildings that is being done through the facade project, which is a community development block grant through Iowa Economic Development Authority. And it's called a DTR, which means Downtown Restoration Project. The state grant is for $500,000. The city then has to match a quarter of that, so they put in $250,000, and then the building owners make up the rest. And so our project is just running right around that $1 million mark. We have 1100 Central Avenue, also 1106, which is right next door. And then that project wraps around the corner to the north. So it also includes the Brass Monkey, which is really cool. We're going to see some new things on that building. Then we walk down into the 1100 block of Central Avenue, and we also have Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor. The front of that store is going to be remodeled, not just for cosmetic, but this is also solving some structural issues and delayed maintenance. Fireside Lounge is in the project, and there's definitely some needed brickwork on that building up on the second and third floor. We have 1104 Central Avenue, which is right next to Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor. And that building right now is covered in beautiful tan aluminum siding, just what we want to see in a downtown, right? And the owner, Bill Habhab, is taking that off, and we're going to rediscover that brick behind there and really shine that building up. I think the biggest project in the DTR downtown restoration project is actually 1101 Central Avenue. And we all know that Hardee's Caddy Shack occupies the first floor in the front of that building. However, there's another storefront in the back of that building. We're going to be putting a storefront back in there. There has been some brick damage to that building with the fire with 1104 or 1103 Central Avenue, which is no longer there. So we have a lot of brickwork and just restoration to do on that building. So pretty excited for all of these owners that are doing these projects through that DTR. Also, just kudos to the other projects that are going on that are taking advantage of the Development Corporation's forgivable facade loan. Those funds are really been diminished over the last 3 years. We've had so many projects, 24 in all, in the downtown. And yesterday we got a call from another building owner that's ready to start work on the front of his building in the 700 block of Central Avenue. So lots and lots going on. Like I said, I think people are taking advantage of maybe not as many people through the door, really using their online presence so they can get some of those interior and exterior projects completed. I know Candies and More, Terry Cook, he did do some painting on the front of his building while he was closed, and then some interior redesign. So we hope that the people do come down, even if it's just to drive around and look at all the great changes going on. And I do hope everybody is following Webster County Facebook page, because they're putting up pictures of what's going on behind that screen on the courthouse, the clock tower project, which is over $6 million.
Yeah, there's just so much going on right now. It's kind of neat to see all the facade changes and the just really neat work that's being done to make our community look even better. And it's great that we're able to use this time of maybe a little bit decreased traffic to get some of those things done. So, and as you mentioned, there's some of these really visible ones that are going on that we can see each day as we drive by, but so many business owners are taking the opportunity to work on the inside of their business, and then also on the just policies and procedures within businesses as well, as they deal with COVID-19. I know that there's a ton of businesses that are now opening once again and have some procedures in place to keep their business and their customers safe. Chris, can you talk a little bit just towards what some of the business owners are doing to keep their customers safe as they begin to visit those stores once again?
Oh, absolutely. I do want to applaud Cheryl and her interns for taking pictures of all of the buildings that are being renovated in the downtown. So we're partnering with Spin Market on that. So thank you, Cheryl. Yes, so Heather Applegate, owner of Studio Fusion, is now open Thursday through Saturday. And that business is at 17 South 12th Street. And she is actually going to be open starting on Wednesdays now too, which is very exciting. So definitely the face mask piece, groups of 10 or less, making sure that everything is wiped down between DIY crafts. So just making sure that those products and some of those things that have not been actually utilized yet are out of the way. So people won't be touching as many things as they walk in the store. Wicker Jewelry is asking people to wear masks when they come into their store. Again, a strong presence of cleaning processes for them. And I really think, before we always hid those cleaning products. And that's one of the things that we were telling those businesses, don't do that. Make sure that that's out front and center so people can be reassured that things are being cleaned. And hand sanitizer is available, not just for the employees, but also for customers, especially in those retail stores that have clothing items. Because it's really hard not to touch a dress or a top or pants. When you come in, you want to feel that texture. So just making sure that everything is being steamed in between. Also, most of the dressing rooms are still closed to the public. So it is put it up against yourself, make sure it looks like it's going to fit. And then some really strong return policies on that sanitation if that item is returned. So really good processes in places. And of course, the restaurants have more stringent guidelines from the CDC and Webster County Public Health. So, and they are still following procedures. Main Street is working with Planning and Zoning Commission in City of Fort Dodge to address outdoor seating areas. Maybe we're taking a couple parking spaces to do an outdoor parklet So you have 2 tables and chairs for some of these businesses just to help them increase their ability to have more customers, but it's still social distancing and loosening up some of those guidelines, in this next 6 months or so.
For those of you who are watching this on Facebook, if you do have questions, feel free to type those into the comments. We'd be happy to answer those, or just comments as well. We're always happy to see those as well. So let's take a quick look at some of the things that are going on, because we always keep a quick look at all of these links, because we do know that there's just so many things out there where business owners are just trying to make sure that there's trusted information. And so we put together this list of information and links that we know that you can trust. The SBA.gov is always one of those that is just a wealth of information. So make sure that if you are visiting any websites or looking for information, you can always know that if you go to any of these, that they're a source that you can absolutely trust. Well, let's move on to some updates on funding sources and the PPP, because there's just so many things that are going on with that. And Kimberly, this definitely lands in your wheelhouse. So update us on PPP and what's the latest that is going on there.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, so a lot going on there, and a lot of things that we're really relieved to learn that that it's been passed, and it's going to give some relief to a lot of business owners, and including myself and our business as well. So the U.S. Senate unanimously cleared the vote. It was unanimous through the Senate and the House, I should say. Sorry for my my thick tongue. But anyway, so that's good news that everyone is really pushing forward to bring these things together that really needed to be addressed. And again, I know there's a lot of frustration. I talk to business owners every day, and there is a lot of frustration with the programs and the EIDL as well as the PPP and just the rollout and things like that. And I just, we all keep reminding ourselves, as well as all the businesses that we work with, that, this has been a catastrophic situation. This is something that certainly our nation has never been through before, and certainly the SBA has never been through before. And really, the SBA is not a large agency. And so there was a lot of quick action that took place, and during a catastrophic period. And so I think everyone has done the best they can. Of course, you throw in some government, tug and pull and things like that, and push back. And, you end up with some changes and some things going down the road. But the good news is we've got some things in front of us now that we needed to have. So I'm just going to go through, and actually one of the official emails just came through early this morning. And as I've said in the past, I can't really speak to anything that an association puts together or, something like that. I really have to stay focused on what is released on the federal level from SBA and the U.S. Treasury. So luckily we did get an early morning email that with the PPP is the loan forgiveness piece of that is going to be extended. It was at 8 weeks, and now it's going to be cost incurred over a 24-week period, or through December 31st, whichever comes first for the business. So after a business receives those funds, that time period kicks in. A lot of us are already in that time period, as Cheryl pointed out. And we're looking at the end of our 8 weeks. A lot, my husband and I are in that very situation. So, we are relieved to hear, and as well as others, that this has been extended. It gives a lot of businesses more time to spend the money appropriately, and certainly businesses who could not open up right away. It just allows them the time that they need to get things established, get people back to work, and things like that. So, it was a cutoff of June 30th for the PPP, and that has been extended to December 31st, which loans can be forgiven if businesses restore staffing or salary levels that were previously reduced. This provision would apply to worker and wage reductions made from the February 15th through the 30 days after enactment of the CARES Act, which was signed into law on March 27th. So
Sure.
again, it does stretch that period out, and kind of they have looked at the piece of where employers have had a bit of a challenge getting staffing back, and some staffing not wanting to come back. So they've kind of taken that into account as well. It maintains forgiveness for companies that document their inability to rehire workers employed after as of February 15th. So again, their inability to find similarly qualified workers by the end of the year, that will be taken into consideration under the modified measure. Companies would be covered separately if they show that they couldn't resume business levels from before February 15th because they were following the federal requirements for sanitation and social distancing. So there's some interesting things, just there is some difficulties getting employees back to work, or finding that same type of staff person that you need, that qualified worker. It sets a deadline to apply for the PPP loan from June 30th to December 31st. It requires at least 60% of forgiven loan amounts to come from payroll expenses. So that is a decrease from 75% to 60%. Let's see. It repeals a provision from the CARES Act that barred companies with forgiven PPP loans from deferring their payroll tax payments. So they took a good look at that and are making some changes there. And so I think what we're seeing in a lot of this, and as Cheryl indicates, and as far as the government is reaching out, they're wanting to hear from business owners and the people that are out in the communities working, that are dealing with these issues, and I think they're listening. There's been a lot of our legislators on Zoom calls. They are listening to what we're saying, and they know that there need to be changes, and that's what we're seeing take place here. So that is good news, of course. It also establishes a minimum loan maturity period of 5 years following an application for loan forgiveness instead of the current 2-year deadline set by the SBA. So that is great news as well, because depending on the business and the size of the loan and things like that, and just, there's a few unknowns ahead of us. So businesses are just trying to, get back into the swing of things, and they're dealing with so much, as Chris pointed out, just with the sanitation process. There's just so much for them to deal with, that they really need time to get their feet underneath them and, to get that cash flow going again. And that's going to take some effort. So this is good news as well, getting those terms extended for the borrowers. So there's, as Cheryl indicated, we're waiting for President Trump to sign it. Of course, that won't be a problem at all. And, there'll be more updates coming specifically to this, and more clarification on a couple of things. But for right now, that's what I have in front of me. That a lot of good news that way that we've been waiting for. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things as well. There's been $510 billion loaned out for the PPP, and of that, there's almost $6 billion that has been loaned in the state of Iowa. So Iowa has, just over 3 million people for population. The U.S. having 330, and so of that, 0.98% of the total PPP has stayed in Iowa, has gone to our Iowa businesses. And I think, while that seems low, if you look at it at per capita, it's actually pretty good. And I think business owners are reaching out. They're taking advantage of what they need to take advantage of. If you haven't done that and you would still like to, or if you're unsure, please have that conversation. Reach out to the SBDC, your accountant, your lender, whomever, and be sure to have that conversation. For some businesses, it didn't make sense to do that, and that's okay. It doesn't make sense for everyone to take advantage of the EIDL or the PPP. So it really is, and it just depends on the business and your situation. But if you're still wondering, should I have, what should I do? Be sure to reach out and have those conversations and take a look at things. There's time to get that done now. So,
Kimberly, there's a lot of business owners who are feeling that their situation is very specific. And I think that's the case for most businesses. It's really tough when you have something like the EIDL or the PPP or any of these funding things that were done extremely quickly for them to handle the nuances of an individual business. And can you talk for a minute about what the SBDC does, and if somebody has specific questions, how can they reach out to get help to answer those questions about their very specific business?
You bet. We are really, just reaching out to our office, and we're really doing deeper dives into businesses and their cash flow, their circumstances, depending on their type of business, because it does vary a lot depending on, maybe you didn't have to shut down at all and you were able to keep production going or whatever your service is going. And maybe your business is actually ramped up and you would like to know, do some strategic thinking going forward. And in fact, I just had a conversation yesterday about a business that is seeing unbelievable growth, just unbelievable, and almost too much too fast. And so we're having to have some conversations about, wow, what can we do? How can we make sure that we can grab a hold of this growth and keep it under control and maintain it and make sure that it takes place without taking the business down, because growth can do that. And so, we don't think about those situations so much as we think about businesses who are struggling on the other end of it with, I haven't been able to open up and I'm struggling with how to bring this back. And there's so much to do with sanitation, as Chris pointed out. I had a clothing boutique also call me yesterday, and not in another county, but still just overwhelmed with the issues and with the loss of cash flow. And, so it covers all, it really is individualized. And so what we do is we dig into the numbers. We look at historical numbers, and then we think about going forward, what's needed. And given the unknown of what's ahead of us, you kind of go to those, you've got your expenses, what's bare minimum for revenues to make this happen. And so we start projecting and maybe putting together a couple of different scenarios to look at that. And, and really talking about debt service. So can you afford the PPP? I mean, it may be a business can't afford even at 1%. It's just not a good idea. And honestly, the thing that we see the most with businesses is that they don't know their numbers and they're afraid of their numbers. And that is, I think that's, there's no judgment at all on our part. Certainly, I've lived that in the past until I learned. I did a lot of growing up as a business owner, and sometimes it is scary and you don't want to look at it. But you have to have a strong gut for that. And that's where we can come in and just kind of walk along side by side and have those conversations. And that's where the counseling comes in. And that's what we're here for. So lots of good tools out there. There are cash flow tools that are being presented to us that are free to use. If you use QuickBooks and your QuickBooks is accurate, There is a great cash flow tool it's a predictor. So what it does is it's looking at your spending and your expenses, your revenues, and then it does predictions. And it's very accurate. It's very good, but it's only as good as your QuickBooks is. So that is one point that I'll point out to that. But just anything. This is definitely a time where it has been really shown to us that we've got to have good bookkeeping, whatever that looks like, whatever system you decide to use. It's more essential now than ever. So I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you. I just find that the SBDC is such a great resource to business owners, and maybe one that not everyone even knows is there to help, and not one that you get a bill for, right? It's the consultant that's available to you, and is just there to provide great information and great resources. And so such a great thing just to get that information out. One of the things that Kimberly touched on, and I'm going to open this up to Cheryl and Chris both, but is that there are some businesses that are truly experiencing growth right now. And for those business owners who can really be visionary and forward thinking in some aspects, Cheryl, Chris, this has provided an opportunity for some business owners to perhaps snag additional market share or simply get the word out by being forward thinking, using social media to their advantage and those sorts of things. And some businesses have really used this as an opportunity. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, exactly. But first of all, I think I need to send a shout out for Kimberly. If you did not know, Kimberly received the statewide SBA award. Was it Shining Star? Is that what they call it? But yeah. So she is our #1 in the state of Iowa for 2020. So a great shout out for Kimberly. Yay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
And I think Dawn Larson is trying to get in as well. I don't know if you've seen her come through to talk about the facade. But let's, in my, okay, she says she can't get in on it because of her browser. Sorry. All right. And anyway, I am seeing that our dental clinics are swamped. They are seeing huge numbers coming in the door. But the other thing that we're seeing is the businesses that had the online and the online, the storefront online, or where maybe had a mediocre one and updated it. Those are the ones that have seen the biggest shift in growth on that and being creative with it. I know the individual that out of Des Moines with Golden Opportunities, it's actually, she does ribbon cuttings, has all the supplies for ribbon cuttings and grand openings and all those things. And as you can tell, in this time of no events like that, she had to be very creative. So she went out and found 50, 60 new products that could be used for celebrations, but done in a different way. And of course, majority of her sales are online. And so she went out and did that and has seen a huge success. My husband was talking to UPS and they can't keep up anymore with the deliveries because of people ordering online and delivering them. And you've probably seen that when you've even tried to order, that sometimes they can't tell you when you're going to receive the products because they don't know when they're going to get them in because of the huge influx of that. I also know a local company, CNS Products, has never seen the amount of product being ordered for bird food in their history. Honestly, my husband brings in product for them, and just they've never seen anything like it. Plastic industry, I think you probably have a couple of clients, Kimberly, or know of them in the Ames area, that they can't get enough plastic in because of all the need for that and how they've had to be creative. So there are a variety of companies that, because of the nature of it and the supplies they've needed, have seen a huge increase.
One other item that I'd like to address before we end this meeting is something that Main Street Fort Dodge and Spin Marketing has been working on. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about the new tool that you guys are rolling out that really puts business owners and businesses in touch with the community and has interactive maps? It's a new tool that you guys have created. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. We are so proud of the interactive business directory that Cheryl and her interns created over at Spin Market. So what this allows our businesses to do is have a bigger footprint on social media and Google. So it will boost their ratings on the Google stream. So what it is, you can find it on our Facebook page. It's also on our website. And you'll click open this live interactive map. And on the left side of the screen is a menu, and it's going to show the different categories of businesses. So if you know the name of your business, you can look it up on the left side and click the button, and it's going to take you right to that business pin. However, if you just want to look at the beautiful colors on our map, we have 7 categories. So it's service, retail, government, available spaces. So if you're looking to purchase or rent a space in the downtown, those are actually on the map too, and they will be hooked up to the MLS. Oh, golly, there's so many off the top of my head. I can't always remember all of them. However, so you'll look at those pins and you can click on a pin, just put your cursor over it, and it's going to show the name of that business. So if you know you're going to be in the 1000 block of Central and want to know what's there, that's another good way to find those. When you click on that pin, it's actually going to open up the Google information for that business. Some of the businesses are buying into this map, and if they do that, then you'll actually go right to their website or their Facebook page. You'll also see their rating from Google on how well customers like their business, hours, phone numbers, address, all of those good things that we need to have. So last summer when we were doing an exchange with Mason City, that was one of their comments, that they really thought we could have a map that was a little bit easier to look through for those people coming in from out of town. So that's what we created. It is, like I said, live right now. Very excited about that map. So Cheryl, unmute yourself.
Yeah, I unmuted myself. There you go. Also on that, we're going to add a couple other things going forward where we can actually add an event category. So we can put the event in there and we'll be able to put a pin wherever that event is at. Some other things that we could do, let's say there's been some construction options that we're discussing for the downtown area. Like right now at one time when the street was blocked off for the courthouse, we can put a pin in as well to show, hey, that area is not accessible at this time, or it's under construction, that street is closed. So we can put another category in on that. So there's a lot of versatility there, and since it's live, it can be changed very quickly as well. So we are encouraging the businesses, if this is your storefront to the world, make sure that your information on Google is right. And if there's some other options that Chris has available for them if they want to expand their information online as well.
Very good. It's a neat tool. I've looked at it myself, and it's just a great opportunity for folks to sort of explore downtown virtually and see what's around you that maybe you didn't even know was there. Our business community support discussion that we've been having each week continues on Main Street Fort Dodge Facebook page. As always, you can make comments there, ask questions there. But if there's something that you would like to ask, and you don't want to do it here online, feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'd be happy to answer your question. And typically those get answered pretty quickly. And if we don't know the answer, we absolutely get it to you, get you to the right place to get that question answered. So thank you to everybody who's been a part of this once again. Chris Patrick, the Executive Director of Main Street Fort Dodge. Regional Director of North Central Iowa's SBDC, Kimberly Tiefenthaler, myself, General Manager of Alpha Media here in Fort Dodge, and Cheryl O'Hearn, Marketing Director of Spin Marketing and Digital. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this, and we'll talk again next week and update folks on all the latest information going on as we continue through these times that are a little bit different, but also provide opportunity for all of us as well. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.